Welcome to our episode of the Dating Hiring Talks podcast, where we talk about the best practices of organizations as well as data professionals to have a strong and effective data team. For today's episode, we want to talk about a topic in digital that uses a lot of data and is getting more and more popular: growth hacking. Our special guest for today is digital strategist and growth hacker Joel de Baat. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, maybe you can do a short introduction about yourself, where you come from, and what you have been doing in this area.
All right, my name is Joel. I'm from the Netherlands. I've been working now for approximately 15 years in digital marketing, online marketing, and media, and growth hacking and growth marketing. It's a little bit similar name for this topic. It's quite new. It's like 10 years old, and since the beginning, I'm very interested in this subject. I read a lot about it. I did some a lot of stuff with startups, but also with different agencies. I've been working with digital marketing, growth marketing for several advertisers and startups.
Okay, and let's answer the first question right away. What is growth marketing?
Yeah, growth marketing or growth hacking is made up in 2010, I think, by Sean Ellis. He's the guru of growth hacking and growth marketing. And growth hacking, in my opinion, is a quite cool name for a way of getting growth for especially startups. It's coming from the startup world. Because startups in the beginning they don't have a lot of money, and they have to grow and to find out which audience, which channel, which technique, which whatever is good for growth for their business. And growth hacking is different than like the traditional marketing. Traditional marketing is mostly based on the upper funnel or the first phase of people getting awareness, for example, for your company or for your product, and then sending traffic, for example, and then it's finished. But growth hacking is like a combination of marketing, distribution, and
Yeah.
also product development. And because of the digital world, it's much easier to connect this together. Before you have like two worlds, like the product development and the marketing, and they didn't work together as much as with growth marketing. And growth marketing or growth hacking, you focusing on the whole funnel from awareness until conversion, but also until optimization, getting retention, but not only on channels such as social or search channels, but also on like the product development kind of ways. How can we change our product, or how can we change our business model to get the best growth for our startup or our business?
Yeah. So it can be that you even focus on what kind of product are we delivering and should we change the product, right?
Exactly.
Which is very
Like
different than
pivoting.
from traditional marketing.
Exactly, like pivoting within. If some audiences didn't respond yet, so you can change your product because the product isn't fit with the audience, or you change the audience. So it's more like in a search of which channel, which audience, which product is the best way to grow. And there's an whole process for it. So it's like the three pillars of growth marketing or growth hacking is: you need to have creativity, you have to think about out of the box and have like a growth mindset, so as they're saying. And growth mindset is like open for the whole world. So it's not like traditional ways in like in specific areas, focusing only on TV or only on a specific channel.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to have creativity. You need to have like a lot of data, because you have to find out which channel, which product change has been working very good for growth. And you have to have like a process, and process is very important as well. And process is basically mostly based on experiments. You have to create experiments on a regular basis, so you can learn fast and get as much as possible response, so you can adapt and change on the way. So it's like the lean startup way of working.
Yeah.
It's like build, measure, learn, and then doing this in a cycle. And with growth marketing, you're focusing mostly on different topics and experiment until you find the right channel or the right optimization, and then you're going to scale this optimization channel for instance.
So data is key in this case.
Data is always key, and that's like the benefit of the nowadays, because we got a lot of data. It's also the downside of the nowadays, because we have too much data, so it's hard to find the right data and focus on the right data. And that's also one of the topics of growth marketing, growth hacking, is you always have, they call it the North Star metric, or the one metric that matters in a specific timing of your startup, of you have mostly one challenge. For example, the first challenge is getting users. So you're focusing the couple of months only on one metric, getting as much users as possible. So that's your North Star metric, or your one metric that matters. Once you have enough users, then you have the next challenge. Maybe people don't buy your product, or you don't use your product, or it's not coming back. So the next phase, or your challenge, is getting them back. So your one most important KPI or metric should be, for example, retention, getting them back. So there's always one metric that matters, focusing on, and all the other stuff, and that's you're working only on this metric, and then you have make sure that it's working, and then you're going to the next metric. Okay. Most startups only have one or two metrics. That's the most important. For example, Uber or Airbnb. What's the most important metric? For example, for Airbnb is just bookings for their for the listings.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting that you say that, because I think many people think when they start doing digital marketing, especially with everything that's out there and all the possibilities right now, it's very overwhelming for a lot of companies, especially for a startup, which often doesn't even have a complete marketing team. Maybe that is just one guy doing it next to the rest of his job. What kind of advice do you have for startups? How to start?
Yes, it's a focus. So it's like you mentioned that this, especially for startups and companies, because you have too much. You can do like social. You can search. There are a lot of channels. You can focus on different kind of metrics. So you have to focus on the right thing. That's the best to grow your company or your service. So it's just focusing and do it like on a good way of with a good process. Otherwise, you're overwhelmed and you're doing like a lot of stuff. You don't know what's working, and you're thinking about, let's do social, let's do search, and then and you don't know really what's working. So focus. That's the most important, and that's why this growth hacking and the process of growth hacking is very handy to use. Because with growth hacking, you're focusing on one metric, for example, getting a lot of users. Then every experiment that you're doing, that is like in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks doing a new experiment. And after those 2 weeks, you were checking, do we have like growth in users? And you're doing this like for a couple of months, doing a lot of experiments. And after a while, you know, oh, this channel or this optimization is working. And then you're going to the next phase for another subject. So just focusing is most important part of the job.
But would you say that you, as a startup, you need like a full-time growth hacker, or would you say just start with in a different way?
Now, growth hacking is also, you don't have like a typical growth hacker. Growth hacking is like before you have like you have a marketing or a brand manager, you have like an online marketist or like a SEO specialist or a social specialist. And like in growth hacking is like you have combined like different kind of expertise and experiences, and they call it like the T-shaped model. Maybe you have heard of it, the T-shaped model. And especially growth hackers are very T-shaped. They have a lot of different knowledge of different subjects. They know about strategy, they know about data, they know about creativity, they know about content creation, and mostly they have only like in the T, like on top of they have like a horizontal broad knowledge of a lot of stuff, and like the vertical of the T, they have a specific subject they have very in-depth knowledge about. So that's why you don't have like a really typical growth hacker. My suggestion is, and that's why it's very good for startups to have like a growth hacker in your company, because they have like different knowledge, and then they can start like with everything starting up. And once you're going in the scale up phase of an organization of the startup, then you can think about, let's hire a specialist, for example, or let's hire a more in-depth kind of guy who's only working on, say, a search, or is only working on website optimization or whatever.
So start with a generalist, and then as you scale up, build out the team. And how do you see this in scale-ups? I think Uber is not a scale-up anymore, of course, but they probably have a big growth hacking team or growth marketing team. How do you see these teams develop?
Yeah, it's like the best way to get a growth team is mostly the ideal team of a growth team is like with 4 people. You have like the growth hacker or the growth manager, I say, is like the lead. He's like broad knowledge. He's like the leader of the team. And you have like a data analyst who's doing like a lot of it in data and knows what's working, what's not working. Then you have like more a developer. It's like more IT guy who can develop stuff and doing like things on the website or apps or whatever. And you have like more like a marketing content kind of guy. You can split it up as well. So it's like the marketing guy is more like the channels. He knows how to set up Google ads, set up social ads or other channels. And like a content guy who could create like a relevant content for websites or whatsoever social. But most important is that's the ideal team. If your team is too small, then you have to fulfill this within one guy, for example, all this roles, or you have to do it like with 2 guys. So the ideal team is like 4 people.
But if you get a company with a few thousand people like Uber, I don't think they have 4 people, right?
No, and mostly those kind of companies such as Spotify, they're working like with growth teams on specific things within the app. For example, in Spotify, you're only working on the playlist, and other guy is only working on the player, and the other and then Uber is only working on the bookings. So once you're becoming bigger and get more people, you get more focusing on different kind of tasks within your product. And that's the benefit of a big company, because smaller companies, you only have like a small thing, so you have to focus on the main things. Once you grow as a company, you can focus on more specific optimizations within your product.
So very product based growth or specific uses of the product. And you also see a lot of the times that they focus on different countries. So maybe different countries have different rules. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that could be as well, depending on what kind of company you are. I think like a company as Uber or Airbnb, they have like a global product. So I think they will be working on specific task or optimizations within the total of the global product. But within the country, you can have like also more specific marketing teams. So there's always like, once you scale up more, then you are in getting it more like with specialized people doing like becoming more like growth marketing way of doing it instead of growth hacking. Growth hacking is more learning a lot with in the first phase of your company. And once you have learned and you know you have product market fit, as they say. So first you need to have product market fit, and then you can scale up your company. Once you have scale up, you have product market fit, and you want to scale up your company, then you can optimize in different ways. So that's the different like phase of growth hacking. So it's like the first growth hacking is learning what's working, and the second phase is optimizing and going to new kind of ways to scale your company or your business.
And you chose this is the love, the passion. This is the best topic for you to work in, or you love it.
Yeah, I love it. Why I love it is because it's like combined together. Like I like product products, but I also like the marketing of it. And the traditional way of marketing is like more like pushy, more push. And because of growth hacking, like I like the name because it's like very like buzzword, but everybody's talking about it. But hacking sounds a little bit like, oh, I do like a hack and I grow. That's not growth hacking.
Where does the word hacking come from? Why do they use it?
It's like life hacks. It's like those names like life hack. I will have some kind of nice trick or whatever, and then I have a life hack. But there's also the little bit the sound of growth hacking, because if you have a growth hack, then you think about a trick, then I can grow. But that's like before, a lot of people using this as growth hacking, just do like a trick and then some black patterns in your product and then you grow a lot. But it's more like the process. Like that's why I like more growth marketing, focusing on different points of your company. But what I love about growth hacking, growth marketing is because it combines like the creativity of marketing, but also the tech part and the data part. And you combine it together, and that's why you can grow much better and create a product that people want. And that's, I think, the best part of it. You don't want to make a product that nobody wants. You want to you make a product that people want, that create a solution for a problem they have, so you can sell them. And then how could you sell this solution is to get as growth as soon as possible, so that everybody knows that you have the best product that everybody wants.
You see, this is mainly why companies are successful. I guess it's because you're solving problems, and the problems are changing. Also, there's different companies maybe offering better solutions at some point, and with the new technologies coming, everything there's new possibilities, and also that creates new problems. But do you see that this growth hacking is more for B2C or for B2B or for both?
For both, because growth hacking is not like it's like more a process and more not like a one size fits all. It's like more a way of work and a way of thinking, because you need to have like what I mentioned earlier, a growth mindset is like an open mindset. If you are like you have a fixed mindset. I don't know if you know the difference between growth mindset and a fixed mindset. People who have a fixed mindset are less open. They think this is my expertise, and that's only my expertise, and all the other stuff I don't know about, so I don't do this. And growth mindset is more like I have a problem, I want to get a solution. My expertise is this, but maybe I can try this solution. I've never done it, but let's try it and learn of it, and then they're growing because the expertise as well, but also because they are open-minded to have a growth mindset. So everybody needs to have like an open mind to go forward to grow, and that doesn't matter if you're on B2B or on B2C company.
But is it essential to grow? Because maybe some companies don't want to grow.
So yeah, that's also fine. Growth is also, if you don't want to grow, it's also based on keeping your customers happy, or how do we can keep our people using our product that they would like to have. People always think about growth like growing in business and getting a lot more money. You can also do like growth for impact for the environment, for example, to get more creating impact for the society or whatever. So it's not your goal. That's the main focus. So what's your goal, and then you have a solution in a way of work, and that is growth hacking, growth marketing, to get this solution for users, business companies, or consumers to solve this problem. And with growth marketing, growth hacking is trying to find the right audience and creating the right product.
To add to this point, because I think growth is especially in tech, it is important. You should always aim to grow, because if you don't, you probably shrink, and eventually you will not be competitive anymore. And I think you should always look for what's the next thing, how can I get more clients, because you will be able to provide a better product, you will be able to provide on bigger scale and do more. You see you see it with shops, right? Like the local shops have been disappearing a lot, and it's on one side it's a shame, but on the other side, yeah, consumers want it. They want to pay less for better products.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's also a little bit the downside of growth tech and growth marketing. And nowadays you see it a little bit changing, especially in the startup world, because of the economic situation at the moment. Before, a lot of companies who are focusing on becoming a unicorn, and how to become a unicorn is to buy your market really. So like all the flash how do you say it, flash the grocery sales guys, they don't make any money. So they're buying the market and putting out the local shops out of the market who are having a fair price and a good price to
Yeah,
creating that and selling their products. But because they're pushing it out of the market, once they have created a market, then they scale their prices going up, and then they create revenue and profit. You see it as well with the takeaway.com. They're doing it this first every country buying this market. Once they have the market, putting a lot of marketing out of it, and then once they all get all those people in their product, like using
yeah,
takeaway.com, then they raise the prices and focusing only on retention. So the first
yeah,
phase is getting as much users as possible, focusing only on marketing, getting them within the app. And once they are in the app, they're focusing on retention because the acquisition cost should be
yeah,
getting lower because the lifetime value is is not right with the customer acquisition cost. So
yeah,
that's but you see like in change. I read an article about a new kind of startups, and it's not like the unicorns, but they call it the camels. And the camels is more for, yeah, if you know a camel, it can adapt in hard environments, like in the desert, walking for days, and that's much better to have like a company or startup that's more in camel,
yeah,
because it can survive in hard times and focusing on getting really making money and focusing on a product that really people would like to buy a fair price for,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's another kind of strategy. So you don't need to have like high growth, but yeah, sustainable growth. And if you have
yeah. You want to
sustainable
be
growth,
able to survive in any kind of environment, and I think even cockroaches can survive even nuclear
yeah,
nuclear attack.
yeah,
So maybe you want to be a cockroach company.
yeah, yeah.
It's something to think about, I guess. But
Yeah,
I think just the word growth hacking, or the area that you're in is not the same as these companies that are growing. That they're all platforms like the tech companies that you're talking about, Uber, and they need much more. The initial investment is a big amount, and the extra users, the costs don't go up that much. So they really, for them, it's interesting to have as many as possible, and you need to be the biggest in the country.
exactly.
But that's not per se, I guess, growth hacking. It's not that growth hacking is killing the small businesses. This is just these platform companies that. I think it's just in general. You have been seeing it
You need
since,
growth. Okay, you need to grow. You need growth hacking to scale those
yeah.
companies.
But if you look at, I guess the big companies in the US, they all have these big stores and uh, Target, or I don't know if you know all these companies. They have been producing the same product or better products for a lower price, and this has been going on for hundreds of years, and they didn't even know about growth hacking. So I think growth hacking is now it's more on digital, right? It's
Yeah, it's more digital and more data driven, because before you didn't have like a lot of data, and why we have a lot of data is because we have digital. So that's the benefit of it, because you really know, once I put €1 or sending an email, I know like 1 day later or 2 days later
yeah,
I have a growth. So it's like you can really measure what's working or not, and that's the whole, yeah, golden age of data at this moment, because we know really what's the increase in revenue once we putting some ads on or whatever.
Should every company have, because every company has data now, should every company have a growth marketeer as well?
It's depending on what's your goal, because a lot of companies, especially the more companies already big ones that already have digital teams, and digital online marketing is kind of similar with growth hacking, but it's more focused on the channels. It's more focusing on getting traffic to your platforms, but less focusing on the product. So it's depending on what's your goal, what's your challenge. If you have like a new product you want to get in market, then growth marketing is the best way to do it, I think. If you have like a product that's already working, then you could focusing on more on digital marketing, putting on optimizing the current channels you already learned that's working. But if you do want something new, then it's growth marketing, growth hacking, especially very handy and the best way of work to put growth, because a lot of bigger companies already have sustainable growth, so they don't have like the need of the startup growth that
yeah. Now, I also see a lot of mid-sized companies. You have a lot of tech companies in the Netherlands. Maybe they are more service oriented. They don't have a special product, or sometimes they do. They might offer a product, but usually they also are surrounded by a lot of service. Do you also think it's interesting for those kind of IT companies?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's also depending on what's the goal, what's your metric, because it's what I said earlier. It's not one size fits all. It's like the method and the way of work. So if you want to grow with a mid-sized company, with a service company, you have to think of what kind of service do I want to give my clients, and what kind of what for problem does I have my clients. And you can start like with physical products growth hacking, just starting. It's as easy as creating a landing page and saying this is my product, and fill in your email, and you have like a start of a growth hacking way of work. Dropbox is an example of how they started is in a way of growth hacking, because they didn't create a product yet. They create a video with the idea of what it should be. They put it online, put an email address, you can fill in your email address, and they get a lot of leads. So they know they have like a kind of idea of a solution that everybody wants, and then once they find out, then they started building it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this. This is also kind of growth hacking, but more on the product way. So what kind of solution is the best fit for the problem you want to solve?
So really finding out.
Yeah.
What do the people want? What is the problem actually, and how do we solve it? Because I think a lot of people, they buy. They said I'm going to sell shoes, and then they buy 10,000 pair of shoes, and then they find out that nobody wants them, and then you are there with all those shoes. I heard that somebody else had a different. That he was first going to sell them, but not buying them yet, and then he said, well, we can deliver them in a week or 2 days. And then once he has a lot of offers, he just apologizes to the first clients, and he says, sorry, we have a little bit of a delay, but we will give you a little bit of discount, or we give you an extra gift of free socks. And then he just orders everything a month later, when he already knows that he has the clients.
Yeah, exactly. That's a way of growth hacking, because growth hacking is also searching for as less effort as possible to learn as fast as possible, to give a solution that everybody wants. So instead of building, like what you say, buying like all the shoes, building a product that, and then think that people wants it, and then ta-da, we have like a nice product and nobody wants it. Then you're thinking, oh shit, I have too much invested in it yet.
Yeah.
So you can start very small.
Low-hanging fruits.
Like low-hanging fruits, but like Airbnb is also an example how they started. They just renting out their home in San Francisco with a bed mattress. That's it. And that during a congress where all the hotels are fulfilled, so there were no rooms. So they think about the solution, and then they started. Hey, people want to get an airbed at our place. Oh, let's start a website, and then they growing it with other cities, and then they learning. Oh, we have to create better pictures, because otherwise people don't using it. And I think Airbnb has like one of the biggest nice cool examples of what's growth hacking, because it's also like growth hacking is some kind of sometimes a little bit on the gray area, and nowadays is more on an more focused what's really could be done. But Airbnb had an example. Craigslist is like one of the big marketplaces in the US, and they had all the houses that people rented, but Airbnb didn't have it yet. So they made the solution that people who added a house on Airbnb can also share it directly on Craigslist, and they hacked it like with a technical way on Craigslist. So that's why they get a lot of traffic. They hacked a lot of traffic from Craigslist into their website, and that's why one of the growth ways of Airbnb.
Okay, and the last part of because we're gonna we're already talking for more than half an hour, but I do think it's a very interesting topic, and I think there's so much more to be said on. I think there's still a lot of people who might be old-fashioned. You say the mind who doesn't, the fixed mind.
Yeah.
And what do you say to those people? Is it if they want to try this out, can they do it with a small investment, and can they see return on their investment in a relatively short time, or is this going to take like a year before you even see the smallest results?
Yeah, that's always depending on the goal, on the target you have. But you can start without any money, just effort. If you need to have a little bit of knowledge. That's why you have like the best growth hackers have like a T-shape. They can do a lot of them by themselves. Just setting up a video, putting on a website, putting some social ads for €100, and testing a product ID. So if I have a product ID for a new product, and I think, oh, that's a cool product, I created a presentation, put it on a website, put €100 on Facebook ads, sending traffic, and if of the 100 people coming on my website, like 50% are giving their email, then I know, oh, this is a good product, and then I can continue on with this. But that's more in the product phase. But growth hacking is more in a process. So if you have already a product and you want to test new channels, you can do those like in 2-week sprints, and after 2 weeks you can test like a new channel, and let's check find out what's the upside in traffic or in sales.
But then you need a whole team of or sprints can also be with one person.
It could be with one person, depending on what kind of work it is. Okay, if you like more hard kind of tech development way of doing it in your product, you have like a development team to do it. That's mostly a little bit harder. And companies that already existed, is also hard to have like experiments, because they're doing a lot of things and they have competitions and whatsoever. So it's like hard to isolate the results of a specific experiment, because you don't really know it's the experiment, or is it a competitor, or is it somebody else who is in the company doing things. So that's sometimes harder in a bigger company to do like this kind of experiments.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much. Time went by very quickly. I feel like we only touched the surface of what's going on with growth hacking, and there's so much possibilities. Maybe it would be nice for next time to dive really deep into an example and see how you did it for another company, or how other companies are doing it. I would like to thank you for today, and hope that we will speak again soon.
Thank you very much for the time, for the invite. Bye-bye.